Hello and welcome to another episode of CRT Sound System. Got episode 95 coming, and we're just going to listen to some nice chill DS music as a little change of pace. Here with Reese as always. Reese, how are you?
Incredible, Tom. Who's our guest for this
No.
evening?
Our guest is just you and me.
What? Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Well, now that it's just you and me, finally we can get into it. Tom, what is a sample? Let's. No, I'm sorry.
We're not doing this.
It's true. I don't care. I don't know why I think it's so funny
This
to
is
make this a running joke of debating samples. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I didn't quite know what the theme was because I'm a
yeah.
bad host and didn't ask.
No, it's fine. I didn't
But
tell you.
yeah, so I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
The that was chill and it was on the DS.
Yeah. That was from Harvest Moon DS, which the Harvest Moon games are sort of have been superseded by basically Stardew Valley at this point in time. But at the time on the DS and the GBA, like those were my fucking jam. And a lot of these were my jam. I think is sort of the main theme here. Like part of the reason I sort of dredged this playlist out from where I had it was when we did the Phoenix Wright episode recently. I just was thinking a lot about the DS, and it happened that we needed to have a bit of a filler episode. So I was like, this is a really good playlist. There's a lot of really good songs, and it'll let us talk a lot about different games on the DS and just talk about the DS generally. And we haven't actually done like just a grab bag episode in quite a while. I can't even remember the last one we actually did that was just sort of like a mixed playlist. Maybe the shmup episode, or not quite sure.
I don't know. It's been a while.
It's been a while, and it's been a while since it's just been the two of us for a full episode as well.
Yeah, no, I mean it's so lovely having guests on, and our guests are so lovely that I've really been just sort of enjoying the streak of the various people that we chat with who are so knowledgeable and so passionate. But now we return to our roots, the original music goblins.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Harvest Moon is kind of the perfect game to play, or the soundtrack to pull from for the intro, just because that has such a legacy of vibes, sort of like, I don't want to say it's the original cozy game, but
I mean, it is in a lot of ways. Like, yeah, like
and
even going back to the Super Nintendo version, like I remember playing that, and like even that has that sort of that cozy game vibe to it way back when. It's obviously a little bit more sort of archaic, let's say, but like I don't think that you get the current cozy game sort of trend without without Harvest Moon, and in fact without a lot of the games that were on the DS. Like I think it was people called it casual gaming back then. I think like it was just a lot of these games that were not like for hardcore gamers or whatever you want to call it were like put on the DS, and a lot of us so-called hardcore gamers at the time, well, I mean not me, but like a lot of the people who would consider themselves to be hardcore gamers would make fun of the DS, and I think there's definitely a through line there between like where we were back then and where we are now with the sort of the cozy game trend.
Yeah, well, I think the element of that you're forgetting is how incredibly gendered it was. Also, in terms of not in terms of actual demographics, but just in sort of like hardcore gamer, either gendered or sort of like, back then everything was gay. Unless you were stinking of Cheeto dust 24/7, it was gay. So, and now we say it's gay in celebration. We're in the future. There are no problems. But I haven't played a ton of these games because I never really like got into my DS as
Oh, okay.
much.
That was going to be my next question for you, but yeah, go on. You can tell us about your DS experience, I suppose.
Well, I mean, it's not much. I played Hotel Dusk, which is on this playlist. In fact, it's the next one
Banger.
up. But I don't know. It's just sort of like I had one and I played like the Mario Kart DS and I had a couple other ones. But
Mm.
honestly, like when I would like return to handheld, the Game Boy was still working, and I was just like, to me, that was my portable experience, and sort of like so some of this stuff that we've gone through here, both on the podcast and more recently in my life, and since I've hacked my 3DS
Mm.
to which was actually very easy.
It is very
And
easy. Yeah,
uh,
that's what Shadow the Hedgehog told me anyway.
Shadow would know. And just I've started to experience it more religiously, but even then,
Mm.
I just kind of like zero in on my couple of games, and I haven't been exploring as much as maybe I should, because it's
Yeah.
just like I could explore, I could play these other games, or I could play Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm, and one of those two always wins out. So
Yeah, that's it. It's hard. It's hard to say no to Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm. In fairness, um, but I think for myself, like the DS era of games is probably like one of my biggest nostalgia points. Especially like as an adult, for sure. Like there's we all have our little points in time that we go back to, but like this for this whole era, it was like most of my gaming was on the DS. I would say like I had other consoles, but I think there's just because of the where I worked, I was able to play a lot of DS at the time while working, and also I had a commute every morning, and this was sort of before the times when everything was just on your phone, so you had to carry around like a dedicated gaming device, a dedicated music device, and then you had like maybe a shitty like 32 pixel phone or whatever, it really was just like you had to carry all these separate things, and now like you obviously you have your phone, and you don't tend to just have everything with you. But I've always been somebody who, like, even now I would bring my Switch everywhere with me, um unless I know for a fact that I won't have any time to like sit and play it. Like I will generally have my Switch in my backpack or in my bag. Like
mhm.
I love portable gaming. It is sort of the primary way I engage with games. And like a lot of the classics on this classic soundtracks on this are sort of a big part of that for me as well. Um, like the like I probably did talk about it during the Ace Attorney episode as well, but just like um the whole sort of run of adventure games and visual novel style games, and like we'll talk about Hotel Dusk and things like that, but the way those all sort of use the DS and its unique properties were like such a massive part of why the system is so enjoyable and like so is so strong in my memories.
Yeah.
Even though the first game I bought for the system was the Castlevania game, which notoriously a well liked game, but sort of the DS features were some of the things of it that were considered to be the poorest, and they're few and far between in fairness. But
Hmm.
if you talk to somebody about is it Dawn of Sorrow? Yeah, Dawn of Sorrow on the DS. One of the first things that will come up is it's not as good as Aria of Sorrow, and the touchscreen shit was really annoying.
Yeah.
um, but I think, a lot of developers either were like, we got to fully lean into the whole touchscreen aspect of it, or others were like, no, this is just a handheld system, and we're just not going to bother shoehorning in stuff. But it did take some developers a few years to realize where they should be using the DS features and where they shouldn't be. So you have this thing of like a lot of the early games really just have a stink of novelty to them.
Well, and I think I was going to bring that up. is that this is in many ways, I think, the most successful kind of like novelty system. That's not the
Mm.
word the words I want to use exactly, but they're pushing some technological aspects with the touchscreen and the dual screen, and we've certainly kind of like the touchscreen has kind of been standardized on a lot of portable gaming, but they're not like,
Mm.
since it's not new, they're not like, check out the touchscreen features on these
Yeah.
Switch games most like 90% of the time. I hear more about the vertical Switch stuff than I do anybody talking in earnest about any touchscreen stuff on the Switch.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's very charming, and it really kind of gives it this air of like one of the golden ages of gaming, where
Mm.
Nintendo really managed to like hit it out of the park in terms of pushing the technology in weird directions. And I don't want to say it was the last time they hit it out of the park, but you know, there were more failures after this, let's say.
Yeah.
And I just find it very charming, sort of like, even if they didn't want to embrace the DS very much, they did sort of like, you were forced to put something on that second screen. And so usually sort of it was funny at minimum, or usually kind of like it was always just like, it was great for sort of like these games like Etrian Odyssey, for example, where you just be like, hey,
Mm.
you can put the map on here, and that's part of the game, and that really lends itself well. And I have enjoyed Etrian Odyssey on the PC, but I have to imagine that there's no better way to play it than on the DS. And so I don't know, it's very
Yeah.
charming, and everything DS related that we have done has been very cool.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's definitely a lot of charm to it, just the whole system. But like, there's a lot of these games were just had a lot going on, and like, I think at worst, if you were just doing like an action game and had a map at the bottom screen, you were doing pretty well. Like, just having that alone, that, you know, not having to go into a menu to check your map in a Metroidvania is kind of fucking mind blowing. Like, it makes such a difference, like going from like Symphony of the Night, say, to Dawn of Sorrow, or any of the other ones, where like you constantly have access to the map. And if you're like me and you have no sense of direction in games for some reason, then it is very helpful to just constantly be able to refer back without needing to pause gameplay. um and you know, a lot of games then would just use like, I remember like playing Spirit Tracks, the Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks, and just like
Mhm.
getting to the final boss and literally not being able to beat it because it requires you to use the microphone to like blow in to play the flute, and it was just not detecting anything I was doing. No matter what I did, we were like, my wife and I were both trying to do it, like screaming at it, blowing on it, tapping it, like there was tapping it with the stylus to try and get it to activate. It was not working. So I've never finished that game because the last boss, you sort of have to do like a timed flute blowing thing or whatever. I don't remember if it's a flute or what in that game, but
Yeah.
whatever you have to do, it's fucking timed.
Mhm.
So every time it comes up, you sort of have a second or a couple of seconds to do it, and if you don't do it in time, the boss just gets back up on his feet, and there's just no way to actually finish it unless it does that, which is an absolute nuisance.
That
Um,
is hilarious.
Contributed to my severe dislike of that game.
I bet. I bet.
Which we won't be talking about today. But yeah, you mentioned you are familiar with Hotel Dusk. Did you play that when it was out, or have you played that more recently?
Yeah,
Or
I forget. I think somebody just had it and I played through it. And if I'm going to be honest, I don't have strong memories of it. I just remember enjoying
Hmm,
it and enjoying that there was a game like this on the DS, and I thought it was just a
yeah,
very charming experience to go through.
yeah. Like, again, it's a really funny little sort of game. Like, I was going to say series. There's two games in it, and I don't think the second game actually came out in America. I think it was an EU and Japan only deal. Because there was I think that was around the same time as like Xenoblade and all those that came out in Europe but didn't come out in America due to some weirdness, I presume. But yeah, like it's such an interesting game because it has that sort of noir vibe to it. And there's like a little bit of a hard boiled edge to it, but then it's got like it has that casual game sort of aspect to it as well, where like it doesn't demand too much of you, sort of like technically in terms of actually being able to play the game. Like it is just like you're wandering around and you're doing reading, and there's the puzzles are like little bar room puzzles essentially, where it's like you got to do like line up some matches or like. But then it sort of plays around with the screen. Like there's ones where you have to like close the DS to get like something to transfer from one screen to the other, and like there's a couple of little ones like that are like I'm going to say novelty again, like, and I don't mean it pejoratively. It's just like this is people sort of figuring out how to use the system's different features to actually to allow you to interact with it, and I think that's really cool and commendable. So there was and like at the time as well, like it's a reasonably sort of adult game, just in terms of like the story and themes, and like the main character just being like this grizzled old dude, well, not old dude, like he's reasonably young, but just this grizzled dude who drinks whiskey, and you know, like there's an element of it that is more adult than you'd sort of expect from the DS, or expect from, I suppose, Nintendo at the time. The other games as well would have been like Another Code or Trace Memory, which is also here on the playlist, and then there, which was a little bit more kid oriented, I would say. Like they recently re-released that on Switch. And I'm not sure it was a particularly good remake. I seem to recall they changed a lot of puzzles and sort of redid the story quite a bit. And there was a Wii version of that as well that I never got around to playing, but it was supposed to be pretty good. But Trace Memory, I do have a lot of really good memories of. And again, it's that sort of like that puzzle game when there's nothing too complex about it. Nothing will challenge you too much in it, and they're reasonably short, but they're generally well written, and the music in all of them is absolutely fantastic. The last game that is sort of in this adventure game block is Flower, Sun and Rain, which I think was a PS2 game originally. I don't know if you've played either one. Let me just double check that. I'm not sure if the original version was the PS2. Yeah, so it was originally a PS2 game, and it was a Japan only game. And then that was released later on the DS, like 10 years later by the looks of it, Jesus. So I don't know what the difference is in terms of the actual story or mechanics. I presume the mechanics are a lot more geared to the DS on the DS version. But I suppose importantly, it is a Grasshopper manufacturer game. So it's one of Suda51's sort of earlier games, and has a lot of his sort of general vibe and style to it. I don't know if you've played that at all or even heard of it.
No.
Yeah. And soundtrack for that one is by Masafumi Takada, who we've talked about before on the Danganronpa episode. One of the absolute goats. The soundtracks for Hotel Dusk and Last Window are by Satoshi Okubo and Yuki Mori. A lot of stuff from that I can see from Satoshi Okubo is sort of very adventure game based. Yuki Mori doesn't seem to have quite a lot of stuff. A couple of RPGs that I can see. White Knight Chronicles, if you remember that. And Super Mario Party as well. Wow, one of the later ones. So it looks like he sort of moved into the Nintendo realm of things from here. And then, the Trace Memory soundtracks is Makoto Hagiwara, Kenjiro Matsuo, and Yuichi Nakamura. Not a lot of stuff I could find about them as well. I don't even know specifically, again, if these ones were sort of attributed to just a group of people, or if there were specific tracks that were done by anyone. So we'll jump into the first block of tracks anyway. So from Hotel Dusk, Room 215, we have Desert Highway. From Last Window, The Secret of Cape West, we have Ace of Diamonds. From Flower, Sun and Rain, we have Morishima Tokyo, The Silver Case. Then we have Trace Memory is just BGM number 30. to say the Hotel Dusk and Last Window soundtracks just really capture the vibe of that game so well. And like, you know, we talk about it a lot, but like the difference that like a soundtrack doing what it does for that in terms of like making you feel that vibe is so good. And like it is interesting with the DS because you'll sort of like, because of the nature of it, you might often find yourself having to play without sound.
Sure.
But like having those really strong sort of sonic elements when you are when you are without the sound does help, because it really sort of helps you like you'll just be thinking of the music while you're sort of wandering around chatting to people in hotel or sorry, yeah, in Hotel Dusk or whatever. Like you'll, because the musical identity and the sound identity that the game is so strong, like it does
Yeah.
it does sort of stick with you even when you're not directly listening to it. Yeah, so the great, absolutely great soundtracks, like worth a listen just on their own, I would say, even if you're not like even if you're not going to play the games, but the games are worth tracking down. And it is hard to recommend playing them on anything other than the on the DS. Like you can emulate them, but they don't really emulate great, just because they rely so heavily on the physical nature of the hardware.
Yeah. It's tough for sure. You know, I think that sort of like the re-releases of a lot of these games, I think, have been perfectly fine. You know, it's specifically talking about Etrian Odyssey, which we have coming up later.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree that DS emulation, that was one, until I actually got a DS myself, and what prompted me to be like, oh, I can't emulate these. I need to put these
Mm.
onto some physical uh, medium.
Yeah.
Is that it's really was made for it, and sort of like the PC just doesn't do it justice. And I think it's interesting to what you mentioned before about sort of like how you actually play the sound, these soundtracks come out of it, because that definitely sparked something in me where I was just like, this is really true. Where most of the music I've listened to while playing the games on these DS sounded so different than the format where you just like sit with my, way too expensive headphones and like
Mm-hmm.
appreciate like every sonic notion. Where when it's actually coming through, um, it does sounds different, but it still sounds great. It's just a different sort of like maybe slightly lower fi world that you're
Yeah.
entering.
Yeah, for sure. Um, like, yeah, I think it was sort of the same with the GBA as well. But obviously the GBA had its own issues and stuff. The I suppose the thing with the DS as well, obviously, like just as far as the hardware being so important, and you touched upon it before as well. It's just like it is so easy to mod a 3DS, and like that might be the best way to play DS games that aren't on like an original like DS hardware. Is like if you mod your 3DS, you can just load up DS games on an SD card and play them.
Yeah.
But like I think one of the biggest things of the DS era is, to me, is sort of as much as the games themselves, is like the proliferation of like flash carts, and specifically the R4 cart. Um, like I remember previous guest of the show, Dave, had a Game Boy Advance flash cart, which like had like a serial link up cable, and like you could load one game onto the cartridge at a time, and it took like an hour to transfer the game because serial connections were slow as hell, and GBA games even for the time could be pretty big. And like it was just such a process to get it done, but even then it was like worth the hassle because you were playing some of the best games available at the time. And then like once the DS rolled around and you were able to just like get a cartridge that had an SD card slot in it and just play games, it became a massive thing. Like kids, you just like normal kids would just have an R4. Like you could buy them in just like random shops that sold janky phones and fix your phone screen. Like those would be the kinds of shops where you could buy an R4 quite easily. And like to me that the R4 of everything was such a part of the DS's identity. And in a lot of ways, I think it did sort of it caused a lot of trouble for Nintendo, I think. And I have limited sympathy for them in that regard, because I think they were still making money hand over fist for it. But I think sort of as the system tailed out towards the end, it did mean that like they weren't sort of releasing a lot of games, and it's possible, in fact, even that like the reason stuff like Last Window didn't come out in the US was because like it wasn't worth distributing it, because they might release the game and then it would just be on flashcards the following day, or on that day. In fact, like it would just be it was so easy to rip stuff. So I wonder if that sort of factored in their decisions, especially in those later games.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sort of chuckling to myself because I was such a weenus when it came to that stuff. Like, I couldn't even fully articulate what my fear was around using any kind of like flashcards or, you know, your modded PS2s, your Dreamcasts with chips in them, all of that. I was just like, no, that's illegal. And it's not like even I was like actually afraid of that, because I would pirate up a Storm on my PC, but the sort of like flashcard for my DS, oh my goodness! But I don't know. That's the propriety of it all, and I couldn't explain to you why. It's not like I cared about Nintendo making money or I was incapable of it. There was just like there was something too illicit. It was just like, oh, oh no, that's heroin users do that. I can't do that. So maybe that's why I didn't play my DS as much. But of course, now I've gotten past that a bit with having the DS with so many games loaded onto the micro SD card now that I don't play because I have Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm. But I don't know. There was something to it. There was something to collecting. So that's very interesting for me to hear about that sort of like greater culture, because of course I've known how ubiquitous it is. I've heard talk of sort of like the hacked eShop, stuff like that. Which I think was much later, but
that was a big thing on the 3DS, and I think that still exists. You can still you can get online on your 3DS and just download stuff from, I think it's called H Shop maybe at the moment.
I think so.
They keep
too.
having to change it, but like it's very easy to just like go on your DS and just download stuff from the actual servers.
Yeah, I'm still too scared to do that. I just get stuff that has been, I think, downloaded from H Shop, and then I just install it from torrents and such. But that rocks. That rules.
Yeah.
All right.
I do think there's like there's definitely something to what you were saying, like downloading something to your PC is whatever, because it just, there's no barrier to it. There's no physical barrier to it, even though it's like the actual action you're doing is more or less the same. But like the fact that you have to like go out and buy something for your console, or in the case of like having a chipped Dreamcast or chipped PS2, like having to actually physically modify the hardware, it just feels like a step too far. Like you're invalidating the warranty by doing it. Like,
Well, in my mind as well, I think until the PS4 came out, PC gaming and console gaming, there was a wall between them, that in my mind's eye, where it was just sort of like, oh, I could do all this on the PC. Because, like you said, it's PC. There's no barrier to entry, but console gaming, I have a physical thing. I don't want to mess it up. even though it'd
Yeah.
be probably less expensive to mess that up than it would be to mess up my PC
Yeah.
at any point in my life. But I don't know. It is very cool. I would like to say hats off to everybody who ever flashed a cart or modded a chip and played stuff for free.
You are braver than the troops.
You are braver than the troops and braver than me. That's the important thing.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I suppose one of the other big things on the DS was puzzle games, and sort of alongside the a lot of the adventure games. I think that was part of the explosion of the casual gaming. So like I've a bunch of stuff from various puzzle games and also Animal Crossing. But the early DS, like did you have the original DS or did you have the DS Lite? I wonder.
I had the original DS.
You the like
I don't think
the
I
DS
never got
Fat.
the DS Lite.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because like the DS Fat had like the Touch Generations games, which I think were sort of some of the earliest releases. So you had like Electroplankton and Project Rub Rabbits. Was that what it's called, or Project Rub or something? That was the weird perverted Sega game. Um, there was a bunch of these early ones that were just like weird little mini game collections, I guess you could call them, or whatever. But a lot of them had really good soundtracks. And then we have we've Planet Puzzle League, also known as Tetris Attack. One of the best puzzle games of all time, and the DS is the perfect way to play it because you just get to like use your stylus to slide the blocks around. It is absolutely perfect.
You've unlocked the core memory
Yeah.
where probably I would say the game that probably got the most play on that DS because I got it and I played it some, but then my mom got a hold of it, and that is
Oh.
Brain Age.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And Brain Age, oh my God! It
That was
eventually
such
sort
a
of got set
scam.
us. Hmm?
It was such a scam. They were like, "Oh yeah, it'll definitely improve your cognitive
It's
whatever." It's
it,
like,
and Lord, did we buy into it? We're
oh,
just
people
like,
bought into it hard.
I just feel like I believed that more than I think any other authority. If Brain Age told me something was right, and Encyclopedia Britannica told me it was wrong, I
Look,
believe Brain
Dr.
Age.
Kawashima, he's a real doctor,
He's a
and
real doctor.
he was gonna improve your
He's,
brain age.
he's my family practitioner. Um, So yeah, that I didn't like. This goes back into my not really delving into the DS too much. Is that I would just get like the one puzzle game,
Yeah.
and it's sort of like that filled up the entire DS's time, which is to its credit that sort of like it. I have such a scattered experience with it, and
Hmm.
just sort of like yeah, I had like, 7 DS games and we played the shit out of all of them and I have no idea what else was on the DS.
Yeah. No, that was definitely a big part of it as well. Like I remember like friends of mine's moms playing the DS to do their daily
Mhm.
brain age stuff, and yeah, absolutely a scam. Um So yeah, so we'll jump into the next block of tracks anyway. So I think actually looking at this playlist now, the Planet Puzzle League, we did actually do a mini episode on Planet Puzzle League. I don't know if this track was one that we included, but it's a great track in any case. That Puzzle League soundtrack is by Masanobu Matsunaga, who is mostly just a Nintendo guy. He did like one or two of the Mario RPGs that weren't done by Yoko Shimomura, maybe. Like there's a lot of composer credits here that like are just very vague. A lot of the WarioWare games, a couple of Mario Kart games. Oh no, sorry, he was just credited for sound effects and kazoo on Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. So that's sound effects lead, kazoo, and whistle on that soundtrack. That's funny.
You'll
Um,
You'll be happy to know that we did not play the song on our Planet Puzzle League episode.
Oh, excellent. Okay. There's a lot of great songs in that soundtrack in any case. And then we have, I think this might be our first Kazumi Totaka track. So from the Animal Crossing soundtrack, I just have the title track. Did you play Animal Crossing back then?
No, I've
On that
never been
one?
an
No.
Animal Crossing person. I don't
That
know.
was yeah, that
I
was my first Animal Crossing, and probably still my favorite.
I my I'm literally a Grinch about Animal Crossing. Like, of course, everyone should play what they like, but I had like such a like, what, people just have animals in a town and there's no game. We can unlock Nintendo games. I guess that's something to do.
Yeah.
That I had such a shitty attitude about it back then, but of course it's music's lovely. I'm excited to listen to this track, but
Yeah.
it's I'm amused by my own sort of disdain for Animal Crossing. Um, I've been charmed about many of the stories, kind of like since
Mm.
then, since my shitty attitude, where people was like, yeah, my grandma only played Animal Crossing, and she wore out her DS, and we got her another one, and I checked out her save like after
Yeah.
she passed away, and she had like 90,000 hours in Animal Crossing or something. I love it. I love video
Yeah.
games. Sorry. Anyways,
No, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of good stories from Animal Crossing like that. But yeah, the music by Kazumi Totaka, possibly like he's aside from Koji Kondo is like the Nintendo guy for music. In Animal Crossing, his self insert is KK Slider. Um, like what is
oh my God! This is our
yeah.
first the music celebrity. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but has done a shit ton of Nintendo soundtracks, Mario games, Yoshi games, the Wario games. Like the list goes on. There's so many different things he's done. Stuff for the Zelda games. Like it's
The
literally
Wii
going back
Sports
to
soundtrack. Oh my God, you're right.
yeah, absolutely. Like there's literally anything you can think of that Nintendo has done. Uh, Totaka has had his hand in some way, whether it's as a composer or just playing music, playing instruments on stuff. Like there's, I'm just looking at like his discography on VGMDB, and like that's just the stuff that's listed there. And like I'm sure if you went on the Moby Games, it's even larger. You can't even imagine the amount of different stuff that he had his hands in over the years. He's been with Nintendo since like the mid '80s, I would say, maybe even earlier. Like is as important to like the way Nintendo sounds as anybody
Mhm.
else. Like there's um probably not as well known as Koji Kondo is, just because he composed the Mario and the Zelda themes, so they're sort of like they're a lot more sort of mainstream, let's say, in terms of
Yeah.
like if you ask a random person on the street to hum the Mario theme, they'll be able to do it. They
But
might even
I
be able to name who composed it, like
exactly. But I to follow your theme is that this is the other guy. You could ask them
Yeah,
to hum the Mario theme and they do it, and if you ask them to hum the Wii Shop theme, they could do it.
that is true. Yeah, it's like the
So
Wii
I
Shop
would
theme.
say that is a feat in the same tier in 2026, anyways.
Yeah, I suppose that's become such a meme, the Wii Shop theme as well. That like,
Super Mario R. Sorry, I can't get started.
All right. So then from Kenta Nagata, we have the Bimoji Training, which is a game I've never heard of, but has really nice music. That's from like the Touch Generation soundtrack, which is just like a compilation of different soundtracks from that series. Kenta Nagata, another sort of Nintendo lifer,
Mhm.
Mario Kart games, a couple of Star Fox games, 1080 snowboarding.
I'm so excited that emojis have bisexual representation on the DS. So, uh,
I should have
go.
looked up what Bimoji is actually now, because now I'm like, it's not Bitmoji, because that's a different thing entirely. The Bimoji training, is this another fucking brain training nonsense? Um, Let's see here. Okay, so it is a Japanese handwriting game for improving your calligraphy. That is hilarious. That is such a Nintendo thing. And then the last track is by Koichi Kiyama and Yuichi Ozaki, which is Electroplankton from the Electroplankton soundtrack. These two lads have very small lists on VGMDB, but Kiyama did some Metroid Prime stuff. And then just a couple, mostly Metroid stuff actually by the looks of it. And then Yuichi Ozaki has one Zelda soundtrack. Did some stuff on the on Link's Awakening by the looks of it. That's like Nintendo guys by the looks of it from all of this, but like not actually as composers, mostly as like arrangers, recording engineer, and like just general sound programming by the looks of it, which is interesting. So we've got those 4 tracks. So Cubed from Planet Puzzle League, Titled from Animal Crossing Wild World, The Scent of Color from Bimoji Training, and Electroplankton from Electroplankton. I want you to imagine just like beating up Pikachu to that, because that was the one from the Smash Brothers soundtrack.
I do find beating up Pikachu to be the most serene experience in my life. So
yeah. It is Electroplankton is a bit of a weird one. It's sort of like a music sequencer. So like you have these just dudes that float around on your screen, and you touch them and they make noises, and that's sort of it. It doesn't really have a soundtrack as such, like that. The track we listened to there is an arrangement, but like the in game, that's sort of what you hear, and it just reacts to what you're doing. But it's a cool little idea, and sort of really something that exemplifies that early DS sort of. And again, I'm going to say the N word, but novelty. I realize people say
heart rate spike.
Yeah. Sorry, Reese. People say novelty to mean bad things sometimes, but like I just mean it in the actual literal sense of the word, and that like a lot of this stuff was new. A lot of people were just trying out shit on this system, and like especially in the first sort of year, the system was failing. Like it did not really go off until I think Nintendogs was sort of the first big like massive hit for the system, and that was like a fair bit in. And then like as we mentioned, like the whole brain training, brain age thing, once that kicked off, that's when like the system became the massive juggernaut that it became. But like the first year or two of it was like it was considered to be a dead system. Like I think possibly the biggest saving grace for it in the first year or so was the fact that you could play your GBA cartridges on it. That was actually a pretty big deal because especially for me, because then it just meant that I didn't have to carry around two systems, and I could just carry on my GBA games and my DS games, and then just play them all on the one system, which was very good. Yeah, oh, go on, sorry.
I just wanted to say that first track from Planet Puzzle League Cubed really transported me to a place in my mind. Like I recently watched that episode of Cowboy Bebop where the cult wants you to leave your body and exist in the digital realm. And I wanted to do that, but I wanted the digital realm to be a Nintendo DS, and just imagining that song and just like I just exist in a cube, and that's it. That's my life. That's my existence. Is that song in my blue Nintendo DS cube, and I really don't think you can do better than that as an existing sentient being.
Yeah,
that's my bold statement. But kidding aside, I am a return for that type of vibe in games. Like there used to be just so many games, often for Nintendo systems, that were just like a blue background with a grid, and shapes would just flow by, and that was the entire vibe, the entire game. And I feel like very rarely do I encounter that now. I feel like I got that a little bit with this like scratch, this absolute degenerate scratch off game that Alton recommended. But it's just like chill tunes in the main menu, and then it's just like don't you want to do a lot of scratchers for the devil? I'm like, yes. Anyways,
they've made Balatro but for lotto tickets. That's insane.
Yeah, it's great.
Fantastic. So the Animal Crossing Wild World, that was my first Animal Crossing game, and like just the vibes of listening to Animal Crossing music are just unimpeachable. Like just the way they do it, if you're not familiar, is that like each hour in the day has its own theme, and that's such a cool little thing because like once you get to know the music, you can sort of hear the transitions between it coming in at the top of each hour, and like it's so well done, and it's really hard to obviously sort of capture that in like a 3-minute track, but like so like that's why I sort of went with the title screen on it rather than anything else, because like you don't really get the full experience of like when you're listening to one track and you're sort of hearing it transition slowly into the next hour's track, and then like the difference between like the night and day in it is so like just like the insane vibes. I love the Animal Crossing soundtrack. It is one of those things that sort of makes the game sort of that much better for me in so many ways. Like just I think like a lot of people, I spent too much time playing the Wii version when that the Switch version when that came out right at the start of the pandemic. So like I definitely have some just like intense memories of just sitting there, my wife on her Switch and me on my Switch, just playing Animal Crossing, and trying not to think about the world ending. And we're still doing that to some degree. The Bimoji track as well is just like, again, such a cool little soundtrack, cool little track for what is essentially just a writing simulator. And I discovered from reading about it there during the break as well, it is a multiplayer game. So you have to compare your writing scores to other people as you do it. And that also reminded me of PictoChat, which was like, I don't know if you ever did PictoChat, but that was the funniest thing ever. If you ever had a group of people like I mentioned at the time, people didn't have smartphones. You maybe had like a color screen on your shitty feature phone, but like you couldn't send a giant drawing of a dick to your friends on your phone, or if you did, you
Yeah.
had to do it. You had to figure out how to do it with the keypad.
Yeah.
So
True.
just being able to draw cock and balls and send it to your friends is one of the simple joys in the world, and
I
I think I think
I
we should return.
truly wish I had the friend group infrastructure to use PictoChat. 'Cause I have a strong memory of just like opening up PictoChat and being like, "Oh, this is it. This is the way to communicate in the
Yeah,
future. This is the coolest thing." But I had no one else really to chat with on my DS. So
yeah,
that's a tragedy of its own.
that
But
is truly unfortunate.
um,
um,
absolutely though. I mean, it's like I keep remembering. It's not exactly like they're hidden features, but stuff like hidden the not hidden, but the original DS had Street Pass, correct? Or
no,
was that
the
a
3DS
3DS?
had Street Pass. Yeah.
Okay, all
Um,
right, my bad.
Dragon Quest IX on the original DS had a sort of like built-in Street Pass thing. You could like put it into this mode that would communicate with other people who had Dragon Quest IX, but that required you to like have the game open and in sleep mode, or possibly even not in sleep mode. I don't recall exactly. But it did have like a proto Street Pass built into it, and that was sort of helping you build your town in Dragon Quest IX. I'm not sure if I
Awesome.
ever passed somebody organically who was street passing in Dragon Quest IX, but fuck me, I miss Street Pass. That was such a
Uh,
cool feature.
I remember I brought my 3DS and I brought the Street Pass when I visited Seattle. I
Mm,
had it in my backpack with the Street Pass up and running, and I didn't encounter a single other person, and I was just like, oh,
that
has to be
sucks.
another nerd out there. Come on,
No,
but yeah.
that's no fun. I suppose speaking of Dragon Quest IX, one of the other big sort of genres on the DS was RPGs. It was such a big system for RPGs. Maybe my favorite system for RPGs. Like so much good shit on it. Like a bunch of really good Megami Tensei games, the Etrian Odyssey games, as mentioned. Um, a couple of really good Final Fantasy games. Like there's so much going on in that system, and then there's like a lot of really good just sort of one-offs um and like even just like side games and stuff like that. We have a track from Devil Survivor 2, which is the oh yeah, I suppose something we didn't really talk about is every game had a DS subtitle. um so nearly every game, like so, we mentioned this Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, and then there was the Advance Wars game was called Dual Strike, and there was a Guilty Gear game. No, sorry, it wasn't. Yeah, it was a Guilty Gear game that was called Dust Strikers, and yeah, there was a just every single game had a DS subtitle. So the Megami Tensei had Devil Survivor, which was a strategy RPG. Um, and it was pretty cool. But amazing soundtrack. But actually by Kenji Ito, who is the composer of like the Saga games primarily, and a bunch of other stuff as well. But I think probably best known for the Saga games. Um, and like yeah, he came on to do this with like the Atlas sound team, but like definitely a like in a class all of his own. I don't know if we actually covered a lot of Kenji Ito stuff before, but I definitely have like a bunch of his soundtracks on lists of stuff where I'm like, I want to get to this one day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have the Etrian Odyssey tracks on here, which I'm very
Mm,
excited about.
yeah.
Are looks like there's. I'm curious which track you picked from Etrian Odyssey because I don't recognize it. Is this the city, like the town theme, or the secret city level, like fifth strata theme? Do you know?
I don't recall exactly. I know that the one from Etrian Odyssey 2 was like Labyrinth 6, which is pretty deep into the game.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
then like the
The sixth labyrinth is usually the hidden labyrinth in
yeah.
Etrian Odyssey, so it's a bit. They let Yuzo go big mode, so
Yeah, he's got yeah.
and it's usually like some fucked up realm, and and sort of like going outside of sort of like some of the classical RPG genres into weirder
Hmm.
stuff. I'm curious about this one because I haven't gotten to it in Etrian
Oh,
Odyssey 2,
nice.
but
Oh, cool. And probably worth calling out as well as World Destruction. I think it was called Sands of Destruction outside of Japan. Um, that was like a one-off RPG. It was developed by Sega or possibly just published by Sega. I don't recall exactly. It is like it's an isometric RPG, very reminiscent of very reminiscent of Xenogears, and to the point where they got Yasunori Mitsuda to come and do the soundtrack for it, and that soundtrack is great. I would love to do an episode on it, but I've never actually played the game, or at least I've played the intro of it, and I was like, "Oh, this is really good. I'll get back to it," and then I never got back to it.
many
A
such
game that is
cases.
very difficult to get a hold of. So I ended up playing it just because it was never released in Europe, as I recall. So I ended up just playing it on the flash cart for the time that I did play it. But an absolutely excellent Yasunori Mitsuda soundtrack on it. One of the great sort of one-off RPGs on the system. We've got 4 tracks here coming up. From Devil Survivor 2, we have The Enigma Deepens. From World Destruction, we have Illusion of Sand. From Etrian Odyssey 1, we have Cityscape Lounge with Talks of Tomorrow. And then from Etrian Odyssey 2, we have Labyrinth 6 Forbidden Wood. I'm sure there's much else to say about the Etrian Odyssey soundtracks that we didn't say on the episode we did, but fuck me. Just Yuzo
Absolutely.
Koshiro is just killing it with those soundtracks.
Like I said, I haven't gotten to that area, so I was like kind of shocked what what kind of like chill forest music it was. But it's sort of like it's such an Etrian Odyssey move is to you're walking through this chill forest with this music playing, and you're fighting the most fucked up things you've ever seen in your entire life, just like causing just it's like Hell Puppet 1, Hell Puppet 2, just like Lovecraftian horrors in this area.
Or just a bear that wants to murder you.
Yeah.
It's really so bad.
The second one, like I was telling you, during the break, the second one, it's like character profile is that the what you choose matters so much more than sort of like each individual builds.
Yeah.
So you can make the game so hard for yourself. And even if you're like playing in the ideal way, like the game just like doesn't have a lot of HP and or defense. It doesn't feel like that compared to the enemies that are hitting you. It's just incredibly easy to die into. And it's just like, oh man, I love that fucked up RPG series. Yeah. Shout out to the GOAT.
Yeah, for sure. Sands of Destruction or World Destruction, whatever it's called. A game that really feels, or at least the soundtrack for it really feels like somebody just went to Yasunori Mitsuda and was like, can you just do the Xenogears soundtrack again, please? And yeah, he's delivered on it. It is a great soundtrack. Not much I can say about the game really. I've played like an hour of it. I did the intro, and it's definitely indebted to Xenogears, but hard to say beyond that whether it sort of sticks the landing. Other than that, Devil Survivor, a great game. Both of those games, but in particular two, are absolutely excellent. There was sort of an interesting mix of the strategy RPG with like the normal sort of battle system that you'd expect to find in a strategy or sorry, not a strategy RPG, in a Shin Megami Tensei game. So it's like once you get into an actual battle, it's got like the first person view with all the different enemy sprites, and you're just sort of doing individual battles between your little gremlins and fairies and stuff like that, and the enemy gremlins and fairies. So it does take a little bit, like the battles are quite a bit longer than something like a Final Fantasy Tactics or a Tactics Ogre, where you go in and it's just like a straightforward, just the dice roll happens, and whichever damage you're dealing is being dealt. So like it's a little bit more involved, so the battles can take quite a while in it, but it's a really cool game, and the music is absolutely fantastic. But naturally for a Shin Megami Tensei game, it's hard to say there's a Shin Megami Tensei game that has bad music, but this is definitely one of the better ones.
It was a vibe. I really like the music, and I want to play it. I want to play all these DS games now.
Definitely check out Devil Survivor 2 for sure. Yes. So next, I've got a couple of RPG tracks and also just something from Air Traffic Chaos. So I suppose the Air Traffic Chaos is a bit of a throwback to our second episode, I'm going to say. Was that our second episode where we did the Aerobiz? Was that episode 2?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, we've been Reese pointed out the other day to me that this podcast has been going for nearly 4 years, which is absolutely ridiculous. That people are still listening to it, and that I can be bothered to still do it. I usually give up on things after a couple of years, so The fact that I've stuck with it is pretty good sign, to be honest. And that's not anything. It's just that's my ADHD.
Uh, incredible air traffic chaos review here. Air traffic chaos has all the fun of controlling the friendly skies without the desperate thoughts of suicide. Which thank you,
Okay,
GameSpot.
right. Thanks for that, GameSpot. Can we get a wellness check on GameSpot, please? For 20 years ago.
This is from 2008, so I think I think that it's already happened.
Yeah, the bad thing happened. Oh well. Yeah. So with that, there's the Contact soundtrack, which is another Masafumi Takada soundtrack with Jun Fukuda. This is a game that I absolutely adore. It's I don't know if you've played it at all, Reese.
No, I've heard you mention it before, and it seems like
it's just cool. The most charming little RPG. It's got a very retro vibe to it. It's Grasshopper Manufacturer again. It's just about this kid, and he gets trapped on an island, and you're controlling him on the on one screen, and then like on the other screen, then you've got like this scientist, and he's trying to figure out how to get you off the island. So like you're watching like these little story bits happening on one screen, and then you're sort of interacting with the game on the bottom screen. It's got like a bit of an Earthboundy kind of vibe to it. And it's just like a little bit of an action RPG. There's some sort of roguelike elements, and it's just very charming. You go around and you collect stickers, and you like peel the stickers off using your stylus, and then like you go in and you put the stickers on your character using the stylus as well. There's just like there's just like a lot of charm, but like the soundtrack is absolutely just I love it so much. And yeah, it's just a game that I have intensely good memories of. One of my favorite games on the system. I would absolutely recommend anyone checking out if you just like a cool, quirky, cute RPG that will take you 8 hours, 10 hours to finish. Then the other. Yeah, and it's real nice. The other game we're going to have a track from then is going to be Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2. The only Final Fantasy Tactics game I have yet to play, unfortunately. It just came out at a time where I wasn't super into Final Fantasy Tactics, but and I didn't love the first Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. But I've been told by people who I trust that it is a better game than the first one. And also that fucking character design for the main character is bonkers. It did sort of get memed at the time because it is incredibly over designed. But it is it is actually a kind of a cool design, and the soundtrack is amazing. It's more Hitoshi Sakamoto just doing his Hitoshi Sakamoto thing. And then the last track is a Nobuo Uematsu track from a game called Egg Monster Heroes. How to describe Egg Monster Heroes? They're like an RTS where you have to just like I don't really know. You just grow monsters from eggs, and it's like an RPG. There's a bunch of them. Like I don't think any of them have ever come out in the West. They've been like going back to like the NES and maybe even earlier. I'm not too sure. Yeah, the first game was on the Famicom. Fucking hell. So like yeah, they're just these sort of monster breeding games and with strategy RPG elements, and they've also just got like a very intense anime vibe to them. Developed this one was developed by Square Enix or published by Square Enix, so they got Nobuo Uematsu to do some music for us. Never played
I don't
it.
know what to say. Googling it looks absolutely fucking inscrutable. I have no idea what this game is about. It looks I'm sure it's a must play. I'm sure that there's a contingent of people there on the internet who's just like,
there's got to be somebody listening to this who is like the world's biggest Egg Monster fan, and I'm like, come and tell me all about it because I cannot figure out anything about this game. But the music is great. Yeah, just like there's more stuff by Kenji Ito on it as well. Naoshi Mizuta, who's done a couple of the Final Fantasy soundtracks. Just absolutely fantastic. I will. I would just recommend go listening to the soundtrack because it was one of those things where like, I just sort of people are like, oh, here's some new Nobuo Uematsu stuff for Square Enix because at the time he had sort of gone off to do his own stuff, and he had been doing like the he did like the Last Story and Lost Odyssey soundtracks and sort of wasn't working for Square. So like the fact that he came back to do a soundtrack for them and it was just for this weird little DS game that never came out outside of Japan is kind of cool. So yeah, we'll jump into this last block of tracks here. So from Contact, we have Kaldoaxa Dungeon. From Air Traffic Chaos, we have Fukuoka Expert. From Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2, we have A Hymn for the Journey. And then from Egg Monster Heroes, we just have Area 1 Dungeon. that track just feels like such a classic Final Fantasy track. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in Egg Hero, but I'm excited to one day learn. I had the feeling you could play through that entire game and still be like, I don't know what happened. Um,
Yeah, it seems entirely likely. Yeah. It does. Yeah, I was reading as well that it was originally supposed to come out in the West, but then people hated it. So um, it was just cancelled due to bad focus groups.
Fair enough. Fair
um,
enough. It's. I'm glad that there's some stuff that's just too Japanese, even for
yeah,
Americans.
yeah. I mean, I think that's fair enough. Yeah. Um, and like, yeah, good soundtrack. Absolutely worth checking out if you're on the hunt for some more obscure Nobuo Uematsu stuff. Yeah, I don't think we have much else to go on. I think we'll have a nice shorter episode than usual because we don't have a third person to enable our bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been lovely.
Yeah, it's been
Chill
really good.
DS times.
Yeah, I love a chill DS soundtrack. I love the DS. Genuinely, as I said, one of my favorite systems of all time. I just have such strong nostalgia for it, and I've just really good memories of it. And I still like will load up a lot of games that I played on my DS just to give them another shot sometimes. Um,
And
we've
and
got
if you
one.
have the means and the opportunity to pick up any physical DS stuff, I encourage you to do so.
Mm,
It is honestly crazy to me. I mean, maybe not crazy, but I think there was still a lot of interest in the 3DS. They just
mm,
decided to go all in on the Switch as their one. Since the Switch is also portable, they're just like we don't
yeah,
want to split revenue streams. But it's you know, the prices are rising as they're wont to do, and I
yeah,
think it's the sort of thing that's going to be beloved for decades to come. And I think there will never be a better time than as soon as you can do it if you have any
yeah.
interest in that kind of thing.
For sure, yeah. I know, like you can get a system pretty cheap. Like you can get a 2DS or whatever if you're not like super invested in it. Like there is, and like you can emulate it as I mentioned, but it's not really the same. Like it is, like it is just playing these games on the DS or the 3DS is sort of the way they were designed, and they're difficult to get into otherwise. Um, so yeah,
I
like even if you don't pay for the
Mhm.
games, which I'm not going to tell you to do that, but um,
I
you
guess I'm a little bit more talking about the kind of newer hackable 3DS stuff,
mm,
because I know it's a huge meme, but it is honestly
it's so
like
easy.
it's not only easy, it is it's something that you're not going to have elsewhere, and it plays so much Nintendo stuff. You can
Yeah,
run emulators for the basic stuff on there too. It could really be your one-stop shop in a way few other devices
yeah,
can.
yeah. I mean, beside that as well, the Wii U is also a great system to mod. You can get GameCube games on it. You can do emulation. Like there's for the same reasons that the DS is so unique and so sort of worth picking up the actual hardware for. The Wii U is the same. Um, Although the Wii U doesn't quite have the sort of the mother load of games that the 3DS and the DS have to sort of justify it, but still just like a really interesting systems that Nintendo were putting out at the time, and I do feel like we've sort of lost the way in the Switch just basically being just like an Nvidia Shield with a screen on it. Like it's not really like
Yeah.
it's
Well,
there's a
it's
lot of great games on the Switch, and I play my Switch a lot. But like, you do miss something with having that second screen, or with not having that second screen, I should say.
I think the Switch is, I mean, we all have a Switch. Its pluses are well known, but it's
Yeah,
fraught in a way I would say previous Nintendo consoles aren't.
Yeah.
Especially too, it's like very funny to me how many like Switch 2 patches for Switch games are people are finally saying like, oh, this game's not playable now. The Switch version of Pokemon Scarlet Violet, you can finally play it. Ash was just DMing me about that, and I thought it was very funny. Just how it goes with that, and you know what? It's probably worth it. It's great. I enjoyed that
Yeah.
Pokemon, despite what everybody says. But something I have no experience with the Wii U, but it's sort of like Nintendo used to have a solidness that no longer that I no longer attribute to the company
Yeah.
or their
Sadly.
eShop.
Yeah, the eShop is a whole other story. Yeah, so the last track we're going to have is going to be from 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors.
Incredible game.
Yeah, we sort of talked about it a little bit on the Danganronpa episode because I think it sort of gets in with that and on the incredibly weird sort of esoteric storytelling and everything. Like I've not played it myself, but the soundtracks by Shinji Hosoe are absolutely fucking amazing. Eventually, I would like to get around to doing an episode on the Nonary games for sure, but I think it's a bit of a project to tackle those. I think.
Certainly.
Yeah, but wonderful soundtracks, really, really well worth your time. And like from what I understand, the actual games themselves are very good and well written. At least the first two. I understand the third one goes off the rails a bit.
I can only speak for 999, but
Yeah.
that game was a fucking experience. Could not recommend it enough.
Excellent.
And the soundtrack pops.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for listening, everyone. Reese, have you got any plugs you want to do before we go? I think we'll leave it plug light. Go follow us, CRT Sound System, on the socials. Support us on Patreon.
Do all that stuff.
Yeah. This episode, has been a fucking blast. It's great to do a good episode with just the two of us for the first time in a while.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure, Tom. Just vibing, chatting,
always, for sure.
Being weird about biodigital jazz and life cubes that I wish to inhabit. Great. Thank you, Tom.
All right.
Thank you,
so we have from 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, Tranquility. Good night.